welcome to the show, Nothing's Off Limits.
The show where we hold nothing back.
So pull up a seat and pour up a drink and sip along with us. Today we have Dominique, the Self-Care Mentor, on the show today. All right. So today the topic is, of course, self-care and chill. So it's, what does self-care mean to you? How important is it to you? And also, what are some things that you do for self-care? So we'll shoot it to you, I guess, first, Dom, so you can let us know, what your whole business is about as far as self-care.
Hey, so I'm Dominique. I'm the Self-Care Mentor. I'm a licensed social worker here in New York City. This is where I live. This is also where I work. I have the Self-Care Mentor LLC, where I actually blog and just basically disseminate a lot of information about self-care. I do consultations about self-care as well. I spread a lot of information about mental health, specifically Black mental health, and what it means to the community, how they can access help, how they can access assistance, and how they can get their lives together, get their shit together.
Get this shit together.
Right?
Love it. Get that shit together. All right, so who wants to start off saying Dom, we'll start with you. What does self-care mean to you?
So self-care to me is proactive activities that we do beforehand to help alleviate stress that might come on to us later. So, like a lot of us lead busy lives, a lot of us have families, children, jobs. We work in fields that are stressful, work at jobs that are stressful. This world is stressful, everything going on with this health pandemic, police brutality, things we're seeing in the Black and brown communities. So to me, self-care is about doing things so that way I can get through the day. I can make it to the next day. And I have the capacity to still be myself with the people that I love.
That's dope. That's super dope.
Never even thought about it that way. Doing stuff proactively. I'm like, think that's something I need to put in my life. Proactively doing
That's
stuff.
true, because I feel like most of the time we usually react to everything versus try to guard ourselves ahead of time.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think self-care is like, oh, I'm stressed, let me, go and get my nails done, or let me go and to the spa. But it's really about doing things beforehand, so that way you feel good and you're into the room feeling okay, and you have the capacity to deal with things at hand. There are times where we, have self-care activities that we do reactively, and that's fine. But we also want to put some of those activities into place proactively.
Definitely glad that you said that. I never even thought to think of that in that capacity. I'm reactionary by nature, so it took me having a personal mental breakdown to be like, okay, you know what? Girl, you need to do something, because this right here, you're not healthy for the kids, you're not healthy for yourself, you're pretty much digging from an empty well, so you gotta find a different way to sustain yourself. Because when I snap, I snap.
Right, exactly.
It's scary, by the way.
Right, we all scared.
Yeah, definitely. Self-care has always been for me, that's my time to take a break from everything. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely taken on a totally different role this year. So for me, it's definitely been no social media, journaling a lot more, and just trying to not keep my emotions into myself as well. When I'm feeling some type of way, talking it out with those who I love and care about, who will support me all the way, and talking to my therapist. Mm-hmm. Getting out what's going on with me so that I'm not holding it in, and then it does turn into reactionary stuff, self-care, where I'm probably doing something that, it's gonna make me feel good, but was it really what I needed to do? So going on a shopping spree because I'm feeling stressed and I don't need to go shopping. I need to do something that's better for me, that's going to actually have better outcome for me in the future. Mm-hmm. So definitely changing how I do my self-care. I love my diffuser. Shout out to those two that got me that for my birthday. I use it every single night before I go to bed. And I like let it stream while I'm going to sleep, so I smell it and have those essential oils like just relax me while I go to bed, and it's the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, diffusers are dope. Yeah, I have one in my office at work. I work with children during the day in a public school here in New York. And then I have one here at home. And depending on the difference in the time of day, I use different scents. So like if it's night, I might use something calming, like lavender. But if it's like morning and I know I got like a report due or some kids I need to speak to or some parents that are gonna like drive me up the wall, I might put something like energizing, like lemon and orange, something to like give me the energy. So aromatherapy is definitely a part of self-care, and it's really important. And if you love scents, if you like to kind of like zen out or even try to escape into like, if you want to smell like you're in nature, if you want to smell like you're cooking or you're in a spa, or you're having a sweet drink, like aromatherapy can definitely help.
Naja, I think you've touched on your self-care process. What do you have going on in Atlanta?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of like you, E, where I'm really reactionary, and I recognize it, and I try not to be, but it's hard not to be, you know, and that's been like so ingrained into you. But I've been trying to take more time for myself because I feel like I always put myself on the back burner because I'm just so busy trying to make sure everybody else is good that I just forget about me. So I've been trying to like do more for myself, whether it be writing or reading, which I love to read, so I try to read more or take baths, you know, just anything that will just, I guess, help calm my fears, because I'm like you, I'm explosive, so I let things fester and build, and then it's like a volcano eruption, and it's bad, and it's really bad. So, you know, I really am trying to really set some really good self-care, like you said, proactive things, so that I don't, you know, erupt, and, you know, I'm addressing everything beforehand, or handling anger or stress in a more positive way. I really want to get into meditation more, because I've meditated a bit, but not like how I'd want to. So that's something I really want to get into, is like meditation and maybe hiking, because there's a lot of mountains around here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm craving. I'm missing our self-care trips. Just going out the country, partying, just a little bit, sometimes a little too heavy, but it's just getting away.
Like if I wake up on time, I wake up on time. If I don't, you know, I might roam the city, I might go to a museum, I might have a drink at the bar, but it's like whatever I feel like I want to do, and there's no like strings that's holding me back. So that definitely feels freeing, just kind of doing your own thing somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of the hiking, I just remember when we went hiking in Costa Rica and got lost.
Oh my goodness.
That was a good time.
That was accidental hike, because I was not wearing the proper footwear for no type of hike.
Did you have on your chancletas?
I surely did.
Yes.
Of course you did. Of course you
You
did.
already know I did.
That just made me laugh. And I was like, we went hiking and we got lost. Yeah, like that self-care was like amazing. It was a bunch of girls, a bunch of women just getting together. Some of us knew each other, some of us didn't know anybody.
Right.
Like I knew like a few people, but I didn't know. It's like you knew absolutely nobody. So, but that common theme of having fun, being on vacation, and just letting loose was like what binded us all together, and it was an amazing time. We had a blast. How many girls was like 14, 12 of us?
Like
14, I believe.
And we had a blast. I mean, Costa Rica owes us nothing. That was
nothing. I
have videos and pictures to prove that.
I actually tried to do my own self-trip one time, but somebody on this thread who I won't mention kind of crashed the party.
Yeah.
But I love her for it. So
that's how we met. So boom. Now you're stuck with me for life.
For life.
Yeah.
But,
So
we want to kind of dive into the next topic with you and just kind of figure out, I hate using this word because I swear to God, it drives me to want to go to a bridge. The unprecedented times
Right.
is driving me crazy.
Right.
But we know we're in a different segment of our society by things actually being shut down. This is not the first time we've seen an actual pandemic, but the reaction of our nation is completely different of what we've seen since we've been alive.
Right.
So has anything changed in how you are doing your therapy sessions right now? Are you seeing a amp up more people reaching out, or is it less? Like, what are you seeing as in your profession?
Yeah. So definitely more people are reaching out right now. I think so many people too really realize the importance and the benefit of already having a therapist before this hit, because that was kind of like something we can kind of fall back on, right? So this hit, a lot of us like went into an upward stress. Jobs was on the line. People might have lost jobs, were furloughed, didn't have incomes, but definitely having a therapist already kind of like felt a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more safe. You didn't have to go out there searching for mental health assistance and support. So there are definitely a lot more people searching for therapy. I know like right now in New York City, we just hit phase 2 and most mental health clinics are still closed. We're not open. So sessions are virtual. So if you already had a therapist, you're seeing your therapist either over the telephone or something like this, like Zoom, some type of video chat. If you didn't have a therapist and you're looking for therapy, you're looking for a therapist who's probably starting you off virtually. So you probably don't even get a chance to meet your therapist in person, but you do still get to have those phone conversations and those video chats. I know most of my clients that I have right now, I have had them already before COVID hit. I have a couple clients who I started seeing after COVID hit because I had some openings and like I've never met them, but it kind of feels like we've already known each other. It depends on the relationship, right? So if you have a client and a therapist who feels like they're a good match with each other, you won't really have so much of a challenge, kind of like opening up and explaining your situation and stuff like that. But things are different. Sessions are pretty much still outlined the same way. Like if you had a 45-minute or even a 30, 45-minute or 60-minute session with your therapist, it's still basically the same thing. But the thing is, we're not in the office right now. Yeah. If you were doing like group therapy or couples counseling or family therapy, that too is remote. So you're probably doing that over like a video session or over the telephone. Yeah. I know here in New York as well, we do have waits, right? Like, so it's not easy to find a therapist. You might find a therapist easy, but you might not feel like you identify with that therapist. Like if you're looking for a therapist that identifies as like Latinx or African American or Caribbean, it might be harder to find therapists. If you're looking for a therapist that takes health insurance, that might be harder here in New York, especially because so many people are looking for therapy. And I feel like even before COVID, a lot of people were looking for therapists. Like therapy recently, I don't want to say has become this new thing, but I think a lot more people are accepting. The stigma has decreased. Some people are like, oh, all right, let me go get me a therapist. So we seen a lot of, especially like the brown communities in New York City, having long wait lists because there's not as many therapists available as there are clients.
Yeah, I will agree with that, especially when I worked in Florida, having more people that were coming in that needed not necessarily like they needed a psychiatrist, they needed somebody to talk to and work things through. And even where I was at, there's not a lot of therapists who, it was too expensive. Some of the therapists here were charging like $250 30 minutes, right. And these are low income families who maybe didn't have that kind of money. Most of them didn't. So it was trying to find other resources for them. And then COVID happened, and that just kind of made it even worse because then they're scared to come into the hospital, scared to get help when they really truly need it because they were like, I don't want to get COVID. And that just amped everything up when it made their anxiety worse. So we were I know I told some people about like online therapists until they could get into a therapist like face to face, because some people don't like online.
Right. Yeah.
I enjoy my online therapy. So it's been fun because I can do this, and I don't even know where my therapist is at in the world, but I don't, but I enjoyed it because I'm like, okay, it's on my time. I can be relaxed, hanging out, doing like this and just like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I think it'd be too weird for me to see somebody face to face.
Gotcha. Do you, both of you are both in the mental health care industry, but with us going to more of a tele-style communication, do you feel like maybe we're still underserving our poverty-stricken community? They don't really have access to phones sometimes or reliable internet. So I still feel like it's a big population of people who do not get to receive the mental health care that they A, deserve, and B, need.
Yeah.
So do you guys foresee any type of workaround or what we can do as activists to try and get that community of people something that they need?
Yeah, I do see that as a big barrier. Even like I do school social work as well, so I do psychotherapy in the evening for my baby.
Speaking of mental health care.
Kamani decided he wanted to be part of the show today.
Exactly. He doesn't want to sit with his big brother.
It's okay. We love you, Kamani. You could be part of the show. He can tell us what he does for self-care.
Oh, he's waving. Yeah, so like during the day I do school social work, and we promote mental health care in the schools. I know that doesn't touch on everybody, but as a public school social worker, we do try to promote it within our family. So if we notice like a child is going through some issues, we kind of expect like that child is not like isolated, right? Like the family is going through issues. And we try to kind of like create a rapport with the parents or the caregivers, so that way we can try to service the family. Sometimes that works, and that can hit some people and some people in the community, but that doesn't hit everyone, like we said. So I think just kind of getting the word out there, like even on social media, there's a lot of people giving out free information, worksheets. There's a lot of people, especially in my network right now, there's a lot of people doing free like group sessions online, or even just like informal, like let's chat, like how you doing sessions. There's a lot of people, therapy is not the only type of therapy, like psychotherapy, talk therapy is not the only type of therapy. There's people offering meditation groups, yoga, like even Zumba classes could be therapy.
We've done that.
So like even just connecting with like others and like moving your body, coming to like one with your body, and feeling good about yourself, or even just taking a break. If it's like you're only 60 minutes to be away from your family and everything around you is to like shake your booty, then like let it happen. So there's a lot of other resources out there. There's also like programs that you can sign up for, where you can like text or chat with a therapist, like less formal than like an online Zoom session. And then there's community-based programs as well that might be hitting those areas. But there are people who don't have access still. And I think, raising awareness, like you said, being an activist, sharing information is what's best right now.
Absolutely.
Right. And going back to what you were saying, E, about a lot of people not having the access, I know a lot of people have Medicaid, and with Medicaid, I know they do provide therapy or those type of services, but there's a lot of doctors who do not accept it. So it's like the amount of people who are able to use it, like they don't have a wide margin of people that they can use as far as who will accept their type of insurance, because they know they're going to get paid a lower rate because it's through the government. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's another thing that should be looked at, where maybe more doctors need to be willing to accept these insurances that are maybe not the greatest, just so that everybody can have the opportunity. Because I know my sister was trying to get therapy for my nephew, who's only 13, and she said that she had such a hard time because he wanted a male doctor. There was no male doctors available, and then like she just had such a hard time even finding anyone, because in Tampa there was only maybe, she said, like 4 or 5 doctors available to her through her Medicaid program. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's a shame, because it's, what can you do in that sense, especially if you can't afford it?
Yeah. So yeah, Medicaid does not pay therapists like the regular or their expected fee. So I think it was you, Jasmine, who mentioned that sessions, you've heard of sessions for like $250 for like 30 minutes. And there are some therapists that charge that amount. Some charge a little bit less, like $150, but that's still outrageous for a family who cannot afford that. But Medicaid won't even pay close to a therapist's fee. Medicaid does pay less, and they have like the most requirements as far as like paperwork. They're very strict, and billing Medicaid is horrible. So a lot of therapists don't accept it because it's like you got to fight to get the little bit of money that they're going to even pay you. At the same time, we do have, especially like, you know, me as a person of color, as a person that identifies as Black, I do feel like, you know, I have a population of people out there who need my services. So they can actually go and receive services from community-based organizations. Community-based organizations usually take Medicaid and other health insurances. I actually work for a community-based organization where my clients come from them. You can also try and do a sliding scale. So some therapists will do a sliding scale where they'll say, okay, well, how much do you make? How much are your bills? And, you know, I think that you could possibly afford this. Can you afford $40 a week or something like that? Yeah. That's still even a lot for a lot of our families. There's also, like, I don't know if Open Path is something that's in every state, but I know, like, here in New York, there's therapists who might have like their private pay clients, but they dedicate like 2 sessions or 2 slots to Open Path clients. And those are basically clients who can't afford their normal rate, but Open Path somehow like refers these families to therapists at a very discounted rate. So that way they are still able to serve the community and pay their bills, you know, because it's a lot of money and liability and stuff like that in order to have a therapy practice, but we still have to look and see that this community needs our help.
Yeah. Definitely agree with that. Yeah, because when I worked in Florida, there was only one place, maybe 2, that took Medicaid. 2 places, and we literally sent everybody there that had Medicaid. So the wait to even do like your first session was 3 to 6 months out just to see a therapist. I mean, and that boggled my mind, and I was just like, holy crap, like what are they going to do till then? So it was very difficult, but they ended up having to come into the hospital and stay for a few days in order to be able to be seen by the therapist earlier, because I guess they had it to where if you go to the hospital, you have to be seen by a therapist within 7 days after your discharge. So but not everybody can go into a hospital. If they have a job, they have to work, they have people to feed. I mean, they can't, I'm going to go into the hospital for 2 or 3 days just so I can get into a therapy appointment in the next week. Not everybody can do that. So
and that's traumatic, especially if you don't need a hospital, right? Like I need a therapist. I don't necessarily need to be hospitalized for 2 or 3 days. If you do need to be hospitalized, then definitely what you need. But you know, I've seen that as well. Like we'll go to the hospital because now you're considered like an emergency, and you'll be referred quicker. You'll be at the top of the list because you're coming from a hospital. But what about the people who really need therapy but don't need a hospitalization?
Yeah.
We want to be proactive, not reactive, right?
Yeah.
We want to avoid hospitalizations.
Yeah. I tell them, I said, we're going to try to avoid it. So what can we do to help you not come in? Because it is, for some people, I mean, they told me like going to the hospital has made their depression and anxiety, everything worse, because then they realize you can't leave. You're stuck here. Because they don't tell, you know, when you're in the emergency room, they might not tell you like, oh, this is a law facility. Once you sign, even though you came in voluntarily, you still can't leave until the doctor says so. And it makes them more anxious. It makes everything 10 times worse. And that's when I feel so sorry for them, because it's like there's some stuff that we could have done to help them before that. Yeah. And it's just, it's difficult.
I agree, definitely.
So on top of that, I know we went over a lot of good information. I know you kind of talked about pre-care, basically being, what's the word I'm looking for, guys? Not reactive, but proactive. What other, my vocab is off today, but you know, things like this, you know, kind of throws me off. But what other advice would you give to our community out there about basically tips for self-care. What else do you have?
There's a lot of resources out there that people are not aware of, especially like just basic self-care routine. I think people think too, like if I try this today, it doesn't work, then I should stop, right? Like you really have to practice like you would do anything in order to become good at it. So like I know deep breathing is one thing that people say, oh, I tried deep breathing and I didn't like it, so I stopped. And it's like, well, you got to do it for a couple days, a couple weeks before you really notice a difference. So I would say definitely be consistent before you give up on any type of self-care that you put into place. Things that you like to do, like painting your nails, is cool. But if it's not intentional, if it's not like I'm about to stop what I'm doing and maybe take a break and paint my nails with like some, Zen music, that's not necessarily going to work. Oh, I went to the nail salon today, that's self-care. It could be, but it has to be really intentional. It has to be like a break. Taking breaks too, taking a nap is self-care. Like going to sleep. I know people love to think, oh, I'll sleep when I die, or Erica, what's your face about?
Girl, that's been my motto forever. Sleep when I die, not today.
Oh, sleep is so important. Getting like 7 hours at least. I like 8 hours if I can. Sleep is so important. You really recharge and refresh not just your body, but like your brain and your emotions, your soul. So like taking a break, taking a nap, resting, even if it's just like on the couch, just laying down. I know we also, I think in this generation, feel like we have to be hustling all the time and we have to be getting to the bag. And that bag is amazing. But you also need to rest, because if not, like you're not going to make it to the bag. So you want to definitely take breaks and rest. I know a lot of people too right now with all of the unrest or the police brutality and everything that we're fighting for and stuff right now in regards to rights and humanity. People want to be out there protesting, and people feel like they need to be on the ground, and that's great, but only if you can, right? It's okay to protest and then take a week off of like resting, because that is traumatic and it's a lot of work and it's emotionally exhausting. I know watching the videos that we've been seeing of police brutality and brutality against our Black and brown people of color. Some people like watch it and get enraged and they want to go out and like, fight for the right. And that's good that we want to fight for the right, but watching those videos over and over could definitely be traumatic. And sometimes like I can hear about a story, I don't need to see the video. I could read a title or read the caption, I don't need to necessarily see a video. I can watch a little bit of the video, I don't need to watch it 8 times though. I don't need to share it, right? Like we have to be conscious of what we allow in our bodies and in our minds and our brains. So taking social media breaks, I know some of you, not sure if you mentioned that or Jasmine mentioned that, but taking a social media break, taking a break from family sometimes, like listen, I'm not answering the phone today, I'm not coming outside, I'm not going to auntie house, like I'm staying in the house. Taking a break from work, so like mental health days, like I'm calling out because like I'm just emotionally tired. You don't got to share why you're calling out unless you feel like you have to, but just taking breaks. Simple things too, like for me, I love like my feet on the grass. Like if I can go to a park and take my shoes off, like to me that is like reconnecting with the earth. Like beaches as well, putting my feet in the sand, the water, hearing the water. I like to keep a lot of plants in my house as well because that calms me down. Like just looking at plants can definitely be soothing and calm me down. There's a lot of things, but I think like knowing who you are, knowing what you like, knowing what calms you down, creating a list, and then trying to implement it, scheduling it. So even if it's putting it in like a calendar, putting it in your phone as a reminder, but definitely setting that like break for yourself. And then connecting with people that you love, that's also a sense of self-care. So calling your besties, hooking up with your friends, going out, having drinks, like crying with your friends, laughing, yelling with your friends. Stuff like that is not only fun, but definitely could be self-care.
Definitely. That's one thing since moving here to Georgia and not being able to have that access to like the beach like I used to, because that was my go-to place whenever I was upset or just felt really stressed. I would drive to the beach because it's like right there in Tampa, and I would sit there for hours and just listen to the waves. And then being here where there's no beaches or anything and we're landlocked, that's really taking a toll on me. So what I've begun to do for the last probably year is I will go on YouTube and just play like they have videos of like the ocean and the waves, and I'll play it. And most of the time I'll play it when I'm going to sleep. And it's actually like helped me a lot because I always had trouble with sleeping and like insomnia and stuff. So like when I play it, I sleep so well, like so well. And that's like one thing that's really big for me that I try to, make sure I always do is play. Even like sometimes when I'm just sitting in my room, maybe like just scrolling social, I'll have just it on in the background. Just because like you said, I feel like lately it's like an uptick of all these like violent or all these videos, of what's been happening, because it's more people who are not aware or people who chose to ignore it are now being made more aware of what's going on. So I feel like it's been an uptick of sharing of these videos, and it's like, or articles. So it's like every time you scroll social media, you see so much negativity, and a lot of people doing a lot of activism, and like it does get a lot sometimes. It's a lot sometimes, and then it just stresses you out even if you're not directly involved in it. Just seeing it sometimes will just stress you, and that's what I'll do sometimes, where I won't even get on Facebook anymore. I might go on like Instagram or something where it's not so much, or I'll just try to like snooze those people that are like that. Most people I know that are like sharing a lot of the stuff, I'll just snooze them for a little while just so I can get a peace of mind, because it's like sometimes you just want to get on Facebook and just share funny stuff.
Yes, just laugh.
Right. I like to see people's babies and stuff. I have so many friends like E and a lot of other friends that just had babies and stuff like that. I like to see their little baby videos and other little pictures and all that. And it's like, oh, and then all of a sudden you see something like terrible. You're like, oh, dang, you just took me all my life. You're like, hold on. So yeah, that's what I've been, been doing lately. I've been putting them on that little 30-day snooze. I'm like, just so I can enjoy it a little bit, when I'm scrolling through.
Right.
Because I've just been, I still got involved in my job had a protest because here in Georgia last week they were voting on the hate bill, because Georgia is one of the few states that didn't have the hate bill. So, right, surprise.
Shocking.
So, especially after what happened with Ahmaud, a lot of legislators here were very energized to get that passed. So, Coke being, the face of Atlanta, it's Atlanta's beverage, they felt a responsibility to the community, and they organized a march. And then I got involved, and my girls got involved because they wanted to be involved. And it was a great experience for them, and they felt like they did something, because we went to the Capitol and we were chanting outside the Capitol, and you could see the legislators looking out the windows and stuff like that at us, and it was a big group. And they felt that was like, I feel like something for them, because they felt like, which is true, they're part of history now, because they passed that bill. So, and they were on the front lines of it, and they're just kids. And they felt so great about themselves after that, because they were like, we were involved in some type of change. We did something. That was amazing. And it did at least do a little bit of something here, where you see a lot of people at least a little bit happier that they have that in place. And so you don't, as far as like just walking around and like talking to people outside, it's not, they feel a little bit better, that people can be prosecuted for a lot of the things that were going on here, because, I know you guys seen all the stuff that's been happening here in Atlanta too. It's always a balance.
It definitely is a balance, and I'm glad you even covered your daughters even being involved. As I said, it's going to be our youth that really brings this movement into action. But kind of piggybacking on what you already said, you guys already know, I've always felt like going back to Tallahassee, my parents live in the country. It's always been like my sanctuary. And I stayed there for about a month and a half after the baby was born. But to be honest, I had to go. And simply because I got tired. I love my parents to death. They are such good people. But they like to stay informed, should I say?
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much information and misinformation and over information about what was going on with COVID and what's still going on with COVID. And sometimes I just have to unplug. I get so, I ain't gonna lie, I judge people all the time. I be like, here they go again, blast the shit about wearing a mask and blast the shit about staying indoors. Bitch, I'm tired of being indoors, for one. And for two, I wear a mask, but stop blasting me with this wear a mask shit. That's how I be feeling. And I know it's wrong. I be like, okay, you wear a mask, so you know what she's saying. But at the same time, it's just like, it's too much.
Information overload. You're tired of it.
Out there, are you still passing blunts around and you sharing them with somebody? And you telling me about putting a mask on? Bitch, you are sharing a whole blunt.
Or don't be the same people that still go to the get-togethers and all that kind of stuff, and you like, stop trying to mass shame people. Like, we get
it. Shame. Like, stop it. I have to unplug sometimes because I'd be like, I know we friends, but girl, I'm judging you so hard right now. And so I'm just going to click this little button right here because I don't want to wake up tomorrow and be like, we ain't friends. You told me to put the mask on yet again. Right. So I found myself having to like pull back a little bit. Definitely unplug. It's so important. It's like even the CDC doesn't know what the fuck is going on. So I have to like unplug from the information, the misinformation, the over information, because it just helps with my own personal mental.
Yeah.
And I do my best to advocate for our community. Girl, why did you even log on to work on Saturday? Anywho.
Oh, Lord.
I know our jobs, and that's another thing. Our jobs is a numbers job. Everything is based on numbers and how you can produce. Sometimes I have to unplug from that too. Mm-hmm. And it's so important to just remind yourself to just, sometimes I know that everything depends on, we as mothers, we always feel like, oh, we have to always be on. We have to make sure the children are taken care of. We have to make sure that we have a roof over our head. We have to make sure that all the bills are paid. And it's just like, guys, I'm almost floating out here face down, which means I'm probably drowning. So turn me over. Somebody turn me over. And it's just a constant battle with myself. So therefore, there's just a lot of protocols that I have to put in place. And guys, I don't know if you can see, but I do have my shirt on that our guest co-host did, and these are so true.
Hey.
My group chat, y'all guys keep me alive. Like so
Bad Girls Club.
Bad Girls Club. What else we have here? Self-care. That's what we're talking about today. Therapy. Dominique, we appreciate you. And I need my crystals. Like I got my crystal. Girl, my sister-in-law, whatever you want to call her, because I ain't never getting married. Kids, auntie, whatever. She gave me this piece of wood. Everything is about intent and healing. And then my salts for what she said this is for, protection, and just it's all about the intent. So all of these things are put into place for whatever we need for. You know what I'm saying? And I just am appreciative of those things being here in our community, kind of awakening it where it doesn't always have to be church, pray. Right. Because I do believe in prayer, but I don't believe that it's simply based on church. It's about the spirituality of it all. And I just love the reawakening and the love and the hippie vibes that we have going on.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I feel like way more people are getting in touch with their spirituality now, more so than relying solely on religion, which is great because it's kind of taking it back to our ancestral religions and stuff like that, were more so practiced with spirituality at the forefront versus like a God or whatever at the forefront, which I feel like is beautiful because that's a therapy and a self-care in itself as well, just getting in touch with your own spirituality. And it's a great movement, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's not just one thing, right? So like therapy could be great for some people. For some people it's not the best, right? But it's not just therapy that we're promoting. We're promoting like this holistic way of looking at mental health and self-care. So if that's like really heavily relying on friendships, relationships, spirituality, what you do for self-care, reading books, napping, sleeping, all of that combined is what's really going to move you forward. But there's no one thing that you can do that's going to get you to feeling better or doing better. It's the combination. And also like the self-compassion, the patience, the self-love, right? Like forgiving ourselves. So I know like Erica, you spoke about like being a mom, and sometimes we're going to have days where we're not who we, want to show up to be, right? Or we're not who we're usually, or we're feeling off. And that's fine because like we're so human. We just have to like forgive ourselves and just be patient. Like, today wasn't it. We're going to try again tomorrow, right? And maybe tomorrow is not it either.
It might not be.
Maybe we're going to try again next week. We're not going to try tomorrow. Let's try again next week. Because, we forgive other people so much and have compassion. And if somebody else was to come to us with this issue, we'll be like, well, girl, why do you think like that? But we don't usually do that for ourselves. So, like, giving yourself the opportunity to start over or take a break or to be a fuck up, right? Like, it's okay. Like, we can't show up for everybody and everyone without showing up for ourselves.
Yep.
That's the honest truth.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, y'all. So we're going to take a quick little break, and then we're on to the Whiskey Confessionals. We got some people who came in on Facebook, Instagram, and on our stream chat who have said what self-care meant to them. So we're going to shout them out and just kind of go over what they say and then talk some more. So we'll be back in a minute.